Hi, I'm Mr. America Shahid in here with another episode of Dark Theory USA. I'm with you guys to talk about everything that is happening in United States and in the world. I mean, basically, I try to everything that I cover regard to the world. Every news that happen, every event have to have some kind of connection and relation with United States. So, even if I'm talking about something that seemingly is irrelevant to United States. I will explain later why I think that's important and later can have connection with United States. Like, for example, the example is the recent one is India and Pakistan. It's really, I think it's very close to have a war, not nuclear war, but it's going to get very heated. And as you know that there were a couple of Hindus in Pakistan, they got massacred, so India wanted to respond that, and they both Pakistan and India, they put all of their troops in the border, not all of them, most of them. And I think if I'm not mistaken, India has two nuclear bomb more than Pakistan. And of course, they have the more population, more combat soldiers that they are on the field, like, active duty, the active soldiers. They have more people, more population. Of course, they have more GDP and they have bigger size of army. But still, Pakistan is also dangerous as well. And both, as I said, they have nuclear bomb. India, in response for the warm up, I think there's a dam, there is a way that water goes to the Pakistan through India, and India closed that. And so 80% of the water that goes to the Pakistan is through that country, so it could be disastrous. But all of a sudden, without noticing, they let the water go through that and it started to flood. So they blocked that, and while nobody expected in Pakistan, again they let the water flows and it started to like a flood. It got like flooded, and if India let it happen, like closing it was disaster, but now opening it without heads up was more disastrous. But I really don't know how, because if it's going through the dam. It wouldn't happen, right? Like it's the system would be ready for the water to come in. I don't know why by switching off and on, it tend to be chaotic, like it start a flood. But anyway, they already allegedly they said that 2 hours ago the initial fight started between them, but it's not confirmed yet. I saw a couple of videos. They didn't look promising. And so what does it have to do with the United States? Oh, well, one of the thing is, as you know, United States went to the tariff war with the world, and of course on top of it with the China. And with China, like after 1 week after Liberation Day, that they put the tariff on all the countries. President Trump put a pause on it except China, with the exception of China. And not only that, but China retaliated and put some tariff on American goods, and so Trump retaliated on the retaliation of China and added, so just it escalated up to 145% tariff on the goods on China. And after 2 weeks, I think President Trump said, we're going to bring it down, not to the zero, we're going to be nice to them. But I think it wanted to give some lesson. Or I think President Trump realized that China probably gonna do so much damage to President Trump, and probably his approval rating gonna tank, because everyone in America mostly voted for Trump to have better economy, and it was against what he promised probably. And so President Trump apparently had a better idea and say, how about instead of us fighting with China, start making other countries unite against China. So it started with India, and a few weeks before this incident happened in the Kashmir with the Hindus that got massacred, got slaughtered, got killed by Pakistanis. One group of people, extremists, if I'm not mistaken. few days before, JD Vance, the vice president of United States, well, his wife is Indian, and I made a meme about that. He went to Vatican, met the Pope Francis, and 12 hours later he died. And then after Vatican, he went to the India to see the India with his wife. Of course, it wasn't only for vacation. He had a couple of reasons to go there, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. And when he went there 12 hours later, the unfortunate incident happened, and Hindu people died in the Kashmir. It's very sad. But I'm saying, like, 12 hours after Vatican, Pope Francis died, 12 hours after visiting China, India. India is about to go to war with Pakistan. So anyway, the thing is, when he went there, I guess he started to talk with Modi, Prime Minister of India, and apparently a few days later, India started to put 12% tariff on aluminum on China. So they won't receive aluminum or steel from China anymore, and that was something necessary for China. Like, it was a big market for China to have it with India. So instead of United States fight against China, United States made other allies or other countries united against China, and also there's a potential. One of them is, of course, Trump is popular in India for one, I guess, H1B visa, when many Americans, even MAGA people, they were against that. That was a civil war in the beginning of this administration. President Trump supported Elon Musk and said that, like, if they are genius like Indian or from any other countries, we need them to make America great again. So that, for that reason, that he wasn't saying something that make Indian offended, and was supportive of Indians coming here with work visa, brought up his popularity. Also, Modi is a very good friend with President Trump, and even I remember one time he said, first time that he was invited for the second time into the White House, he said to President Trump that you are making America great again. We have to make, we're gonna make India great again. So he used that slogan. And also, Vice President JD Vance's wife is Indian, and last but not least, India has very good relationship with Israel, and Israel is greatest ally with United States. So all those reasons show that, like, how India is closer to United States than China. And even Jeffrey Sachs, one American economist that I really have so much respect for him, he in India, he went and said that you guys don't go to war with China, with United States of America, because he's not very positive that United States is going to be loyal to India. So that wasn't shocking to me, because I know exactly what Jeffrey Sachs is coming from. But what was crazy for me was when the not moderator but the journalist, the interviewer, was talking with Jeffrey Sachs. He said something like, he said, don't go to war, don't try to destroy China on behalf of United States. And the lady said, what if we want to do that ourselves anyway? Yeah, Jeffrey Sachs said that. And that was crazy shocking. So it means there's a potential that Indian people, they look at, there's a rivalry between Chinese and Indian people. I mean, of course, they are high populated, they are very large countries, and probably there's a rivalry they are rival when it comes to the culture, or maybe even food or anything. I didn't know that, but that was crazy when the lady said, what if we want to beat the China? And that was crazy. So Indian people, probably they are ready for that. And also, when you look at the corridors that are coming to the Middle East from to connect east to the west, The main corridor that Israel wants also, it's from India to, I guess, to Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Israel, and go from the Mediterranean Sea, go there to the Europe, connect to Europe. So connect through the Middle East with this corridor, east to the west, be connected to each other, and that was the main corridor that the West liked it, and India is a big component of that. China has its own corridor, Russia has its own corridor, goes above Iran with the Kyrgyzstan and I guess Azerbaijan and Turkey. So each country in the east has its own big country, major role-playing country. They have their own corridor. And of course, India would be benefited if it happens. And of course, people in the West, every country wants the main corridor to be the one that are the allies, all the allies that are participating. So probably they get discount, and it would be better, strategically. But anyway, so I talk about the Pakistan and India right now to say that why it's gonna matter to us, because probably India right after talking with J.D. Vance and decided to raise the tariff on the Chinese goods, especially steel and aluminum, if I'm not mistaken. In that case, if there is a war between Pakistan and India, we all know that most of the equipment in Pakistani's army is from America. Like Pakistan's army is American army, like the tanks, the jets, the flying fighter jets, their guns, everything is American. So if something like that happened, definitely India wants at least Pakistan to not buy from America, or America doesn't sell it from Pakistan, or at least help somehow the India. But I don't know if it is real or not, but apparently President Trump, when he had the interview, he said like India is on its own. I don't know if it is true or not, so I'm not gonna spread misinformation. But what we know is India in return probably wants to have support. And we saw like already Indians influencers on the social media, especially X, aka Twitter, they are showing their support with Indian Hindus. So yeah, it can be messy if we Americans get dragged over there, especially right now that we want to fight with China. It can get messy. So I don't think this massacre of Hindus, it was very coincident. Like at this point, when we see all the bad accident happened right before something more important gonna happen that depends on that incident, that makes that incident doesn't look coincidence anymore. Like for example, if we say I want to steal your, I don't know, oil. So in order to steal your oil, I need to be in your country. But if I come to your country, I'm not welcome. You don't invite me to come and get your oil. So I need to wait for you to attack me, do something that I have reason to convince the world. And I didn't want to go there, but I had to. I was forced to go there, and I did what I had to do. And on the side jobs, side missions, I get the oil as well. So we have seen a lot. We have seen this movie a lot, this plot. You see those people that they have been waiting for something from other countries. Immediately something suspicious happened that give them reason, give them pass, give them thumbs up from the world, that go get it done. Get what done? Something that you have been wishing all the time. So to say like, oh, it is karma, it is like the secret serious. If you think about good stuff comes to you. Like you think about, oh, I wish I had the oil, and the galaxy make a life the way that you find yourself next to the oil facility in that country. So no, I don't buy that, and I think it wasn't coincident that happened. I mean, it can be anyone. It can be China wanted to make America get involved with the India-Pakistan fight, so cannot continue the tariff war. It can be Israel, it can be Pakistan. It can be coincidence as well. I'm not saying everything is conspiracy theory, but the chance is very low, because bad things are happening after each other, and you see as if there was a master plan. All of them were planned to happen together. It happens beautifully. Like it's something like it's part of the plot. That was a screenwriting, you know. So that's it. That can be messy. That can be dangerous for us, and that was one news. Other one was which is not very important. I don't want to pay so much attention to it even. But apparently Ben Shapiro from Daily Wire went to have the interview with Zelensky, and his conclusion was basically, if I'm not mistaken, what I saw that online is like basically Ukraine is defending Western value, and Russia is a bad guy. I'm not saying who's a good guy, who's a bad guy, but Ben Shapiro, after 3 years, it has been 3 years after the war, comes and then have the interview with Zelensky after all this time he had, like, you know, like Tucker Carlson went and had the interview with Putin, and with the other guy, I forgot his name, the Russian foreign minister. He had interview with them, and then Lex Freeman had the interview with Zelensky, and all of a sudden now Ben Shapiro is interviewed with Putin, with Zelensky also. So the thing is, also Piers Morgan had also interview with Zelensky. So I believe Daily Wire had enough money and had enough influence to set up the interview with Zelensky long time ago. But why didn't they do that? And now all of a sudden they are going to be have an interview with Zelensky and have they already making them up. For example, let's put in that way. Lex Freeman, whatever you think about him, like he said, my main purpose is to bring the peace in the world. So I'm gonna have interview with everybody from Netanyahu to Zelensky and even Putin to just have the peace. So to have conversation, to have peace. So either he's lying or he's telling the truth. This is what he says his plan is. Or Piers Morgan already made his opinion about, he made his mind about like Putin is a dictator, he invaded, and Zelensky had all the right to defend himself. Also, like Tucker Carlson, not to take Russia side, but was saying like it's unfair that we are hating on Russia, but we haven't even heard their side, their story. So you see, like in last 3 years, it was enough time, we have seen enough. So everybody make their minds. Either they are going for peace, they don't take any sides like Lex Freeman, or they are thinking like Russia should be here, like Tucker Carlson, that I'm a big fan of him. Or even like a Piers Morgan says, oh, Zelensky is a hero and Putin is a dictator, any of them. They already have made their mind. But to me, that Ben Shapiro, after 3 years, all of a sudden with one interview, 1v1, talking to Zelensky and getting some information from the first hand from Zelensky, find out, oh my God, all this time they have been defending Western value from the Russia. It sounds so greatest ally-ish tactic. I'm not into it. I don't buy it. I just don't buy any of it. Like all this time you didn't know who is the good, who is the bad, and right now in this crucial moment that they are so close to have the Trump is so close to make a deal, to make a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, all of a sudden to realize that, oh yes, they were right. You know the meme that Drake is saying, he's doing like, oh, it was obvious we didn't. They are with his friend, he's staring at the screen and he's like, oh yeah, genius, yeah, exactly. So all this time it was like, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I had to talk with him directly. So everything was obvious. Everything is now obvious. Nothing is obvious. And if it is obvious, it has been obvious since beginning, not the first 2 months, but after 5 months of the war, like let's say in July of 2022, we already know that what's up. People have made their mind already. But for him, after all this time, with one conversation, interview, he realized who is a good guy, who is a bad guy. Oh my God. Like definitely he had a plan, but he's so stupid that he doesn't understand that we are not as stupid as he thinks. We are not as stupid like him, because he's stupid. He thinks we are stupid as well. Why? Wait for it. Do you remember 1 month ago, I guess, when that was a kind of like a second civil war between MAGA movement about I guess I don't remember exactly what it was about if we have to fund Israel or not. All of a sudden, Ben Shapiro came out and he said, "Oh, the police who was involved with the death of George Floyd, he got convicted and now he's in jail. President Trump should pardon him." Out of nowhere, nobody was talking about the George Floyd yet. Nobody talked about the cops. I forgot his name. The cop that is in jail. Nobody talked. Nobody brought it up. Nothing. Like out of like people look at it and say, "What the hell was that all about? What was that about?" Right? So where did you get that from? Right now, like all of it was out of nowhere. It was so irrelevant. It was the most off-topic thing that he could discuss. We were all busy with other stuff, with Epstein Island, Jeffrey Epstein client list, with the JFK file, with Martin Luther King file, with the 9/11 files. We were waiting for the release of those files, and all of a sudden he just like it's a distract. Oh, don't think too much about Epstein file. Here, something more important. President Trump should pardon this guy. Even black people, black conservatives, they came and said, "Why are you doing that? Like, why? What's the point? At this time, to just again make another race war? We have more important thing to do right now." So nobody bought any of those ones, and they started to say, "Hey, you are trying to distract American people from something. So it's not like a good intention. You are worried about that cop." I said, "No, I just was thinking if President Trump is pardoning people, why not doing that, you know?" And everyone said, "Not that. Even if they wanted." I mean, personally, I don't think it should be, based on what I have seen, I don't think he should be pardoned, but it's not up to me. I don't think he should be pardoned, but he thinks, but that's okay. Like, it's a free country. You can have your opinion, but you are giving your opinion right now to distract us while everybody's focusing on those Epstein files to be released. And right now, again, all of a sudden that we are close to have the basically peace deal, and now we have to say, "Oh, Putin was a bad guy all this time." Or maybe because they have they have a beef with each other, Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro. I think because of that beef, say, "Oh, you went to interview with Putin. Oh, before the war is ended, I'm gonna go interview with Zelensky. So if you have interview with Putin on your resume, I'm gonna have the interview with Zelensky on my resume." Like whatever you do, Tucker Carlson, I do the opposite. You know, like Tucker Carlson had the interview with Andrew Tate. He went and he said like Andrew Tate should be canceled by people on the right. Again, it's none of his business. He can have his own opinion, but God, there are so many things that I cannot talk about that because, you know, in the YouTube and even Rumble, I don't know, not that I'm gonna be canceled or censored, but I'm not gonna dig deep into this rabbit hole for now, at least. So anyway, that was another news that happened. Of course, Pope Francis died 12 hours later after J.D. Vance paid a visit, and President Trump went there with other leaders of the world, and they made a quick conversation between President Trump and Zelensky. I saw when Macron was there, was talking to them. So in the Vatican, the image was epic. So they put the two chairs in front of each other, facing each other, and Trump and Zelensky were there, and they made the space empty for them to have the private conversation in the church. And the church was so big, so the picture that you saw, two world leaders are talking to each other, and the background was those beautiful, well-designed paintings, drawings, design, and the statues and the church, those pillars, those sailings, drawing. That was very epic picture. It was like crazy, like wow. And they had a good conversation. Even the post that Zelensky had was like it's very constructive, and he had. But they both are playing. Putin is playing. Zelensky is playing. Zelensky is saying he has to give back those territory that was taken from 2014 before even President Trump got into the office for his first term, like when Obama was president. So all this time that Obama was president, you didn't ask for it, or even when Biden came to the office, you didn't ask for it. But right now you want to take back those land that you lost it even before first presidency of President Trump. And then also Putin again attacked. That was brutal attack really 2 days ago, and Trump said, I'm so disappointed, don't do that. If we're gonna have the peace, so you guys should sit down. But one good thing that I like about Trump, Mark Rubio was saying, he said, if it doesn't work out, we're gonna stop, we're gonna move on. Like exactly, because Russia and Ukraine, when somebody wants to bring peace between two brothers or two friends, they always try to, spoil themselves. No, first him. No, he did that. If like they enjoy fighting with each other because they know that it is safe, because somebody is bringing peace between each other. So no matter what they say to the other one, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Like when you see for example, when you know that somebody gonna stop you from fighting, you're gonna act like you are tough guy, you're gonna go fight. But if you see nobody stops you, you say, oh, I didn't want to fight, I wanted to act like I wanted to fight, but people stopped me, basically like that. But Trump said, I'm not gonna play that game. You guys hate each other because you know that in the end I'm gonna cool everything down, I'm gonna bring peace. If you guys are not gonna come to the table and have the agreement together, I'm gonna walk out of this negotiation. And I think both of them, they want, like Ukraine definitely wants peace because they don't have soldiers left, and Putin also wanted because their army, their tanks is depleted, and they need to go back to their wars because, of course, it's not sustainable to keep fighting for a long time. And so far, apparently, Putin used different people. I'm not saying Dagestan, Chechen, but from different places, brought people to even maybe Uyghurs, if I'm not mistaken, to the fight. I don't know about the Uyghurs, but people. But one of my friend that I was talking to, he said, that Putin goes to the prison and then he says, if you go fight for Russia, we forgive all of them. Clean slate, clean slate. You are not going to be punished anymore. You're going to be free and you're going to get money. Like you're going to have honorable life. And many people in the prison say, yeah, why not? So most of those soldiers that are from prison. So that's why like Russian people, they don't see any urge to end the fight as soon as possible. But if they are out of help from other countries, other group of people, other ethnicities, and like for example 10,000 soldiers from North Korea, and even Ukraine arrested two soldiers that they had Chinese passports, so even they were getting soldiers from China. So that was crazy. So I think eventually it's going to look bad. It's going to look very, very, very bad for Putin. Because so far they are not feeling like, the way that you see in the Ukraine, they're dragging people from the street to go to serve in the first row of military in the war. It hasn't happened in Russia, but if it happens, it's going to be scary. So people are going to stand up and say, okay, enough of the war, we don't want it. As long as people don't feel it, they're okay. Just like Middle East. You know why people didn't hesitate? People in America didn't fight against these war hawks for America, Afghanistan war, or with Iraq war. And the reason was because people were not in debt that much, and also they were really believing what the news was saying. But now that news are discredited after all their lies are exposed, especially after 2020, and also we are seeing now, thanks to social media, we are seeing so many things that we didn't know about the battleground. And we are seeing like, oh, we are making some defense contractors, these military companies, those companies that are selling weapons. we are making them richer, while we are sending our sons and husbands and or fathers, or like or family members to the war to die, for some people to make more money, like Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney. So that time there was bigger trust between among people for politicians and news outlet, news media. But right now people distrust them. For that reason, they are very skeptical about any other war in the Middle East. That's why you see there are more resistance against war, with war against Iran, rather than compared to war against any other country. Because at that time we didn't, American people didn't see the blowback, didn't see the result. Plus, after the economic crisis 2008, people said, "Wow, this was our economic all the time. We were wasting our money and our resources in the Middle East, while we could spend all those money on ourselves, especially after withdrawal of Afghanistan." People say after 20 years spending trillions of dollars, now we wanted to take it from Taliban, and we handed back to the Taliban. Only for 20 years we lost our soldiers and our people and our money. And even we lost $85 billion worth of equipment. So when people, they see that, they say, "Oh, we have seen this movie, we don't want to do that." Like you see Tucker Carlson say, whoever advocates for another war is the enemy of America, no matter what they tell you. And I totally agree with that. But so I believe in this situation now people are against that, because they are more aware of what's going on. Thanks to social media, we can expose other people's life. So anyway, right now there is a talk, hopefully there will be a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. Trump says we are so close to make that deal. And also one of the good news is from humanity aspect, of course, humanitarian aspect. President Trump said that, I'm going to play the clip that he said to the Prime Minister Netanyahu to let the medicine and food go to the Gaza, because people are suffering and it is not okay. And he said, we force that and it's going to happen. We're going to take care of the Gaza. And everyone got surprised. And even those people who were really skeptic, they are saying, we hope he's honest about what he's saying and he does what he says. And Trump is not the politician. That's why we voted for him, because he says what he believes. And when he said we have to be nice to Gaza, people are suffering, he means that. He's not playing politics in front of camera. It is not him. That actually, that's why people trust him, because he doesn't do games like that. And that's another thing that happens. I'm gonna play it. And today, actually, in the Oman, Muscat, the city, I guess it is the capital of Oman. That was the third round of negotiation between United States and Iran about the nuclear deal that they have. And that was the third round, third week, third Saturday, basically. The difference was this time more professional people were there, more experts were there. That was not talking about the generality. The first 2 weeks, first two sessions, they talked about general discussions, and they both were almost on the same page. But of course, the difficulties and challenges come when it comes to the detail, this British slang, say devil is hidden in the detail. And actually this is where the problem starts, because they say, "Oh, I don't want you to have nuclear bomb." They say, "Well, we don't want to have nuclear bomb either. We have to be able to see that if you don't have it, yeah, of course you can come in." But when you talk about like something in general, it's always easier to be on the same page and agree each other. But what's going on right now is like it was a third round talking about the serious stuff, like experts. They were there to talk about what is their expertise and business. And probably the next week gonna be again in Oman. It's gonna be the fourth round of the nuclear talk, and over there it's gonna get directly into the nuclear, because I think this week was more about the economic side of it, of lifting of the sanctions and letting Iran to sell oils, all those stuff. Next week gonna be about like enrichment level of uranium and all those stuff, the stuff that really, like, you cannot enrich uranium in here or more than 3.67%, or you have to buy it from other countries. You cannot hold it in here. You have to empty your facility. Whatever it is related to the nuclear energy and facilities gonna be talked and gonna be discussed next week, and probably it's gonna be again Saturday, and more experts gonna come from both sides to talk about that. And Iran insists that it is indirect talk, not direct talk, because they think still there is animosity, adversary between United States and Iran. So for that reason, they don't have normalized relationship. They only have direct talk, direct communication with countries that they are neutral or ally or something. But because there's animosity between Iran and United States, so Iran said, no, we are not gonna have the direct talk. So they emphasize that that we are not talking directly. And also so many people, the hardcore believer of this regime in Iran, they were like saying we shouldn't even talk with them in the first place. We shouldn't have even we shouldn't have been in the same room with them, in the same place with them, at the same place. We shouldn't have talked about anything, regardless of direct or indirect conversation. But they are emphasizing it's only about the nuclear. It's not about the missiles. It's not about their proxies. Only thing that they are discussing is the nuclear, and also it's indirect. But anyway, he was saying like for 4 hours they have been talking to each other indirectly. So in the separate rooms, they send some of they write on a letter, they write on the paper, and the Oman staff, they take it from Americans from America's room and give it to Iranians, and the Iranians also like write the answer on the separate paper and give it to them. So they talk to each other through communication through letter. They write it, give it to Omani's staff, and Oman give it to them, and then vice versa. Sometimes they ask questions, these people answer, or vice versa. And he said it was serious talk, and it means both sides, they are determined to continue that. He said, I'm not sure if it's gonna end up with a good result, but I'm cautious while optimistic. So let's go and see what's up. All right.
And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met privately today ahead of Pope Francis's funeral. The president has been working with Ukraine and Russia trying to end the war. Fox's Stephanie Bennett tells us more.
Presidents Trump and Zelensky met for roughly 15 minutes. It's the first time they've been face-to-face since their explosive argument at the White House back in February. They sat inside the large marble hall of St. Peter's Basilica. The White House said their discussion was very productive, and Zelensky said on X that they discussed a lot one-on-one, and he's hoping for results on everything they covered, including a full and unconditional ceasefire and reliable and lasting peace. Zelensky described the meeting as very symbolic, and that has the potential to become historic if we achieve joint results, he said.
Unfortunately, death sometimes brings people together in a unique way, and it looked like a touching meeting, and I hope for the soldiers and the families in Russia and Ukraine that something positive comes from that.
President Zelensky was met with public applause as he entered St. Peter's Square. Both presidents also met with UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer and French President Emmanuel Macron, who have sought to mediate between the two since their explosive argument. Zelensky commented briefly after the funeral.
Really productive meeting. I don't want to go to a lot of details, if it's possible, because the questions were very sensitive questions.
Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, met with Putin in Moscow Friday. President Trump said both sides were very close to a deal. Addressing recent Russian attacks, the president wrote on Truth Social in part, there was no reason for Putin to be shooting missiles into civilian areas, cities, and towns over the last few days. It makes me think that maybe he doesn't want to stop the war, he's just tapping me along, and has to be dealt with differently through banking or secondary sanctions. Too many people are dying. In London, Stephanie Bennett, Fox News.
Welcome to the Daily Show. We got a great show for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to be most...
Coming into Gaza, when you spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu the other day, did that come up at all about access and humanitarian aid going into Israel?
No, Gaza came up, and I said, we gotta be good to Gaza. Those people are suffering. We got to be good to Gaza. We're going to take care of that. There's a very big need for medicine, food and medicine, taking care of it.
In terms of like opening up more access points or
Very hard.
pushing the Israelis
We are
to open up more access
very hard
points?
to get food and medicine into Gaza.
How did the Prime Minister respond to that?
Well, felt well about it.
U.S. officials say further progress has been made in the third round of nuclear negotiations with Iran. Today, the U.S. and Iran finished their latest round of talks in Oman and agreed to meet again next Saturday somewhere in Europe. Some of the issues addressed in the talks included the limitations the U.S. wants to impose on Iran's nuclear plans and the sanctions Iran wants the U.S. to lift. U.S. officials have been greatly concerned about Tehran's rapidly advancing nuclear program. Meanwhile, a large explosion rocked a port in southern Iran, setting off a massive fire. At least 14 people were killed, more than 750 others were hurt. The blast was reportedly linked to a shipment of a chemical ingredient used to make missile propellant. The fuel is believed to have been part of a shipment that had come from China. It was reportedly going to be used to replenish Iran's missile stocks.
ما همکار گرامی و سلام بر بینندگان محترم شبکه خبر. دقایقی پیش ما زمان اعلام پایان دور سوم مذاکرات غیر مستقیم ایران و آمریکا در مسقط رو اعلام کردیم. الان در خدمت وزیر امور خارجه کشورمون هستیم برای اینکه جنبندی این مذاکرات رو از زبان ایشون بشنویم. آقای عراقچی خدا قوت به شما میگم. روند دور سوم این مذاکرات به چه صورت بود؟
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. با عرض سلام خدمت همه بینندگان محترم. من اجازه بدین قبل از هر
I will translate it, okay?
چیز چون من وقتی مذاکرات تموم شد و اومدیم بیرون متوجه شدم که حادثه در بندر شهید رجایی رخ داده. لذا قبل از هر چیز لازم هست که تسلیت عرض بکنم هموطنانی که جان خودشون رو در این حادثه دست دادن و کسانی که مجروح شدن همدردی میکنم و امیدوار هستم که به هر حال با مدیریت که انجام میشه این حادثه مجروحین به صورت متوابط بشن و بررسی بشه که چه بوده قضیه. دور سوم در مسقط عمان برگزار شد. ما از دولت عمان از آقای بوسعیدی وزیر محترم امور خارجه بسیار متشکریم و قدردان هستیم. بسیار ترتیبات خوبی رو فراهم کرده بودند و یک محیط آرام بدون حضور خبرنگاران که در آرامش بتونه مذاکرات انجام بشه. میتونم عرض بکنم که مذاکرات این بار خیلی جدی‌تر از گذشته بود و ما به تدریج وارد بعضی از بحث‌های جزئی‌تر، فنی‌تر، تکنیکی‌تر شدیم. حضور کارشناسان بسیار مفید بود. ما چندین بار به صورت مکتوب نظراتمون رو رد و بدل کردیم. مذاکرات غیر مستقیم هست، میدونید بحث فنی یه مقدار دقت‌های خودش می‌خواد، لذا عمدتاً به صورت مکتوب مواضع رد و بدل شد و بعد اونها سوالاتی داشتند ما مکتوب جواب دادیم، ما سوالاتی داشتیم دادیم بهشون. در مجموع میتونم عرض بکنم که فضای مذاکره یک فضای کاملا جدی و کاری بود. یه مقداری از بحث‌های کلان فاصله گرفتیم. این معنیش نیست که اختلافات هم حل شده، نه، هم در موضوعات کلان اختلافات وجود داره، هم در جزئیات وجود داره. تا جلسه بعدی قرار هست که بررسی‌های بیشتری در پایتخت‌ها صورت بگیره که ما چگونه میشه اختلافات رو کم کرد. ولی این که هر دو طرف جدی بودن با جدیت وارد مذاکره شدن، خب بس این کاملا مشهود بود و خود این یک فضایی رو ایجاد می‌کنه که ما امیدوار باشیم که میشه پیشرفت کرد. البته این امیدواری ما همچنان به شدت محتاطانه است و مسائلی هست که باید در موردش تفاهمات کلی به دست بیاد و بعد در مورد جزئیاتش مذاکره بشه. عرض می‌کنم ما امیدوار هستیم، البته به شدت محتاطانه.
So first of all, he sent his condolence for the people for the explosion in the southern port of the Iran. We call it Bandar Abbas, and then 14 people have been killed, and I think 400 people are injured. It's very sad. It's very upsetting, and rest in peace to all those innocent civilians who died, and hope for a speed and fast recovery for all the people who are injured. And so much damage has been applied to so many buildings, places, so because the radius of the explosion was very wide. And I hope everything goes well, and as he said, they are investigating. Well, because regardless of what you think, they are just innocent civilians. Like, the fight and war nobody should be happy about innocent people dying. And so it happened. It's very sad. And then he started to say that this time that was a third round in Oman, and also the same thing in direct talk, and they sent some letter to them, because he said it was more professional, more into detail, so they needed to have it everything instead of just verbally, just somebody listen from them and pass it to this team. They had to write it down, and he said we communicated, and they asked question, we answered, we asked question, they answered. And he said probably next round it's going to be more people, and said everyone was determined. Both sides, it was very serious talk, so it means they are here to do something, get something done. Because also in Iran, those people who are against the negotiation, the talk, they are saying actually United States is buying time by getting Iran get busy with this talk. He's sending all of the ships and navy, the troops over there. So while they are talking, they attack that. And of course, other people that are saying otherwise. They say Iran is wasting time. But just buying time. Some of them, they say they're going to just keep playing for 3 years, 3.5 years, let's say 4 years, until Trump is gone, and after that they can go back to default setting, which 4 years is so long, and Trump is not patient to just use it in diplomatic way. So I think it's very a little out of mind to even think about that, to play with Trump for 4 years and Trump doesn't notice them. And then some other people that are saying like right now they are strengthening and repairing their defense system, air defense system, because one time Israel for the first time directly attacked Iran's air defense system, anti-missile system. And right now they are saying they are trying to repair that. I don't know exactly what they mean by that, but they are saying they are bringing the troops over there. So both sides, while they are in the talk, they are moving their fighters, jets, tanks, all the equipment to get ready for another war, which none of them, neither people in Iran, as far as I can see on the news, on the social media, and especially people in America, they don't want another war. And so we have to see what happens, like a full war. And well, I think Israel thinks it's the narrow window that's open, and they are not sure if this window can be open for next 50 years anymore. That's a unique situation, unique opportunity. They can bomb their nuclear facilities, and Israel cannot do it by itself. Of course, it needs the backup. And President Trump said, when they asked him, if you stop Netanyahu from attacking Iran, he said, I didn't stop it, but just I'm not going to support it. You are just your own. Yeah, but I mean, they're their own country, they can decide for themselves. He said, I didn't stop it. He said, but if the negotiation doesn't work out, I'm going to be the one who is attacking. Because before he said like Israel attacked that, they are going to be leading and we're going to follow it. And he said, no, this time I will attack myself. I think this contradicting sign, this opposite signaling, I think it's happening because he has a reason, because he has to say he could play the upper hand. Because if, for example, he says like, oh, I don't want to have the war, so Iran feels happy. You say, oh, you don't want to have the war anyway, so even if I say no to everything that you ask me, anyway, nothing gonna happen to me. But the way he said, like, you know what, like if it doesn't go well, I'm going to be the one who is attacking. I don't wait for even Israel. Instead of Israel attack, I support that. I attack by myself. And he has been saying it so many times in different way in last 3 weeks, in last 3 rounds. Basically, he said one time, Iran can save so much money. In one other time, if they have a deal, in one other time, say he can save lives, or they're gonna make their country great. So always he's saying like the alternative gonna be not pleasant. He said the alternative is gonna be something that I hate it, they hate it, everyone hates it, but we have to do it anyway. So they are showing like if they want, they can. So I think it works basically because they know, if, for example, for Biden, they knew that no matter what, Biden wouldn't attack Iran, right? Because Biden got into the office because they were saying, oh, he's not as crazy as Trump, you know, like he's gonna have the peace deal. You know what I'm saying? So they knew that Biden wouldn't do anything to them. That's why they kept saying no to Biden and making it harder and harder until Biden gave up. But in here, when they know that Trump is determined to attack that if nothing happened, so they're going to be serious as well. They won't waste time. I think that's a good strategy, but we have to see how much of it is talk, how much of it to just have the leverage in the conversation, but how much of it is basically they really mean that. But anyway, he said like that's a good talk. I'm optimistic, but still I'm cautious.
دور بعد صحبت کردیم چه برنامه‌ریزی برای دور بعد صورت گرفته؟
دور بعد احتمالاً مجددا شنبه خواهد بود و جزئیاتش و مکانش اینها رو دولت میزبان که عمان باشه تنظیم می‌کنه و به اطلاع دو طرف میرسه.
سطحش مشخصه.
در همین سطح فعلی با حضور بنده آقای بیتکوف خواهد بود و همراهی کارشناس.
کارشناسان فنی که در واقع هیئت رو همراهی کردن اشاره کردید. برخی از آنها گمانه‌زنی کرده بودند دعاوی رو مطرح کردن که افراد اقتصادی نیستن در این هیئت. از ترکیب می‌دیم چه افرادی بودن و مشخصاً چه تخصص‌هایی وجود داشت؟
خب ببینید ما به هر حال با توجه به موضوعاتی که در جلسه مطرح میشه کارشناسان لازم رو همراه می‌بریم کاملا بدیهی است. الان که داریم از مرز کلیات به تدریج وارد بحث‌های جزئی‌تر و تخصصی‌تر میشیم کارشناسان لازم هم به همین ترتیب اضافه میشن. ما در این جلسه کارشناسان اقتصادی همراه داشتیم و اولین بار در هیئت کارشناسی ما حضور داشتن حضورشون بسیار مفید بود. از جلسه آینده حس می‌زنم که کارشناس سازمان اجرایی هم باید اضافه بشه. ما به موقعیت رسیدیم که بحث‌های یه خورده فنی‌تر هسته هم داشته باشیم. هر چه جلوتر بریم با توجه به موضوعات در دست کار هست کارشناس مربوطش هم اضافه کنیم.
یک سوال مهم شاید باشه که با اینکه بارها به صراحت هم مکرر مطرح شده که این گفتگو هسته‌ای هست و مسئله غیر از هسته‌ای در مورد مطرح نمیشه باز امروز گمانه‌زنی‌هایی بود در این مورد چه تأکیدی وجود داره آیا ممکنه که واقعا دستور کاری گفتگو تغییر بکنه؟
به هیچ وجه من صراحت عرض می‌کنم موضوع ما فقط هسته‌ای است و هیچ موضوع دیگری رو مورد مذاکره قرار نمیدیم. البته وقتی میگیم هسته‌ای یعنی اعتماد سازی در برنامه هسته‌ای ایران در مقابل رفع تحریمات هسته‌ای و تحریمات در کنار هم دیگه است. خب اینطور مصطلح شده موضوع هسته‌ای. ما فقط در این موضوع مذاکره می‌کنیم هیچ موضوع دیگری رو نمی‌پذیریم که در موردش مذاکره بکنیم. در صدور گذاشتن کاملا این رعایت شده است.
و اراده هم امروز مشکوک بود در طرف چه در مورد صحبت شد؟
So he's saying, she asked him, some people they were saying like not experts when it comes to economic were invited to this negotiation from on behalf of Iran, and he said no, but based on what discussion we have, the topic that we have for each session, each round, based on that we bring the experts, we bring the professional or representatives. So that's why he said like this time we were a little more talking about the economic side, the talking about the money and the people who were related to the probably the sanctions and the SWIFT banks, all those stuff they got added. And he said next time we're gonna more talk about into detail about the nuclear itself, the nuclear energy itself and the facilities. So people who are related to that topic, the professionals gonna be appointed and gonna be with us. So their team gonna expand their team member based on as they go forward and they go more into detail. And he said some people they were saying the lady said ask some people they were saying what was it called? It is more than just nuclear talk. They're talking about the other stuff. And he said, no, I guarantee that it's nothing more than nuclear talk. And both sides, us and them, we both agree on that. So that's it. And he said it has been positive so far. And the next one gonna be, he said Oman gonna see the location. Yeah, because the last round was in Italy, but in the embassy of Oman again. So even if it is another country, but still they go to the embassy to that because it calls the part of that country's soil. So, but he said probably it's gonna be Saturday, and then he said the talk is about nuclear energy. And so we give the confidence to them that we are not looking for atomic bomb. And in return, when we make them confident, we show them reason to have the transparency, so they lift off the sanction. That's all we are talking about.
چون به نظر سخت موضوعات فنی انقدر پیچیدگی داره باشد در کوتاه مدت نشه به نتیجه رسید. در این مورد نظرتون بفرمایید.
من وقتی عرض می‌کنم که فضای مذاکره جدی بود یعنی دو طرف اراده خودشون نشون دادن برای پیشرفت ولی بعضی وقتا اراده به تنهایی کافی نیست ممکنه که اختلافات انقدر جدی باشه که نشه به سرانجام رسید یعنی منظورم این هست که اراده به تنهایی ضامن موفقیت نیست در واقع باید موفقیت به دست بیاد که نظرات هر دو طرف خواستای هر دو طرف تامین شده باشه هر کدوم به سطحی از رضایت در مذاکرات رسیده باشه این چیزی هست که طول می‌کشه سخته بعضی از اختلافات ما خیلی جدی هست بعضی از اختلافات دیگه حالا کمتر جدی هست بعضیش پیچیدگی‌های خاص خودش داره ظرافت بسیار زیادی داره ما امیدوار هستیم که البته به سرعت بتونیم جلو بریم تجربیات بار گذشته ما کمک می‌کنه که حرکت ما سخت‌تر و سریع‌تر باشه ولی به هر حال من فکر می‌کنم تا اینجا حرکت ما خوب بوده من دور سوم مذاکرات در نقطه‌ای هستیم که شاید اگر به اصطلاح مذاکرات دیگری بود به این صورت نمی‌تونستیم برسیم اما خب تجربیات قبلی ما کمک می‌کنه که مسیر رو سریع‌تر طی کنیم من از روند مذاکرات از روند به اصطلاح شکلی مذاکرات و سرعتش راضی هستم فکر می‌کنم که روند خوب و رضایت بخش شده در مورد فضای خوبی هست جدیت وجود داره در طرف اراده تصور می‌کنم که در طرف مقابل ما هم وجود داره ما که کاملا اراده داریم اما آیا میشه توافق رسید حتما من امیدوارم ولی خیلی مدت
So he was saying like we are ready. We hope they are ready as well. They are determined as we are determined. He said, I like the pace, I like the speed. The process is going forward fast enough. At least the pace, the speed is fast enough for him that he's satisfied, he's ready. He said, of course, there are a couple of disagreements. Some disagreements are serious, some disagreements are less serious, and some of them, they are a little complex. So we are going through one by one. And he said, we are using the experience because, you know, they had the nuclear deal signed with Obama in the Obama second term in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So he was saying, like, we are using our experience from the last time, and of course it's going to take time, but we are doing our best to make it as quick as possible, of course, because Trump also gave 60 days deadline. So we have to see. I don't want to get into conspiracy theory, but people say probably that explosion in the port in southern Iran, in Bandar Abbas, probably wasn't only accident. So maybe somebody was behind that. And again, as I said in the beginning of this session about the Kashmir, those Hindus got killed, and you say, well, that's very tragedy, but you have to see who got benefited from that, follow the money. Since I'm not gonna say everything that happens is already planned, but again, exactly the day that they are talking to each other, one explosion like that, it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like who was behind. And some people, they say, I don't know exactly if there is any motivation. Maybe there is, I don't know. Maybe there is any motivation for Iran to explode that, to reveal itself, and then to kill its own people. I don't know, like maybe there is, I don't know at this point. At this point, I don't know what is the Iran motivation to do that. And America, of course, like if they wanted to attack their port, they would just say, show the green light to Netanyahu and just attack nuclear facility in Iran. You know, actually, Netanyahu said by the beginning of the May, which we are getting into it, he said by that time we can attack, we can strike their nuclear facility. And Trump said, no, I'm going to give them one other chance to have to go through that in diplomatic way. So if he turned it down, so if America wanted to attack Iran, why did they say no to Netanyahu? What was the point of attacking the port in southern of Iran? So what was the benefit for them? Nothing. For Iran, like right now, they want to show everything is good. They want to show the world everything is peace, everything is calm. They would attack them, especially right now. They are saying that, you know, the orange cloud that we saw came after that. They said this is the material they use for the missiles. So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, it's hard to believe that those containers that they were carrying the materials, the ingredients needed for making missiles, they got exploded in the way that it's a title of every news. To believe that it all happened coincidentally, I don't know. You know, after 2020, I have seen enough stuff to say. I'm not gonna say everything is good. So only one who could get benefited, I don't know exactly, to be honest. At this point, I don't know who would get benefited. Or maybe it was just coincidence exactly happening that day. But yeah, let me see on the, they are saying that they are saying, they're saying the Shahid Rajaei port in Iran's largest port, handling 85% of all loading and unloading of containers in the country. So 85% of everything, all the shipments goes through that port. It is the second largest container port in the entire Middle East region, the place that got exploded, right? And now they are saying that Iran says the blast came from the hazardous chemical, but security report says the port had the shipment of sodium perchlorate chloride, a chemical used to make solid missile fuel shipped from China. So that was very strange. So we have to wait. We shouldn't make any conclusion already. Still, it's under investigation, and we're gonna see who was behind that, if that was any, and hopefully by that time we could see, like, if there was any country behind that to make sure to sabotage, manipulate the nuclear talk between Iran and United States, gonna be in the big trouble. I'm pretty sure that wasn't America for sure, because if America wanted to do that, why didn't just listen to Netanyahu? And in Iran, maybe not, I don't know. Like, we have to see who was behind that, because these chemical, they are saying that was used for the missiles, the fuel for the missiles, and was shipped from the China, and it's the second largest port in region, and the biggest one in Iran, which 85% of the containers comes or goes through that port. So Bandar Abbas, I know that it's very famous. Everyone in Iran knows Bandar Abbas. It's very important. So many people, when they want to import something luxury, so I went and took it from Bandar Abbas. So I don't know what's gonna happen, and that's all I have. It has been 1 hour. I hope you enjoyed it. I would like to know your opinion as well. Thanks for watching. Like always, as above, so below.